Generals gathered in their masses, just like witches at black masses. In the fields, the bodies burning, as the war machine keeps turning.
I want more, man.
Oh, Lord, yeah. I was in a Screamo band, so
okay, man, that's solid, Rich. Fuck, man. I think, did you say on the message or like you got to sing or something like that? But everyone knows the show.
Yeah.
We always open up with that.
I've only seen the YouTube shorts.
The clips. Okay.
So it's like, that's how I was seeing Steve. That's how I was like, oh shit, this looks cool.
And you know Steve or you just know of Steve?
I know him I've seen him around, right?
Like, all right, yeah. Because they're in that same neighborhood?
St. Clair and Caledonia.
Has it completely, I used to be there a long time ago, but has it dramatically changed? Or is it still kind of Italian, Portuguese, Spanish?
You'll see, what's weird, and this is probably going to be like, you'll see a lot of like Canadian kids, and you'll see like hipsters around. Like
hipsters are everywhere. They're like cockroaches.
And then you'll see like young couples. It's like, whoa, it's like an old couple's not around.
Well, the young couples, what most likely happened was the parents of somebody got rid of the house or passed on or moved to the suburbs, and they gave the house to the young couple because there's no way that they could survive and buy that house in that area. And that's just the reality of it. But be it. If they can hang out to the house and keep it traditional, and great. It's wonderful. But that neighborhood's a great neighborhood.
I've been there. You know what? I've been there my whole life. And I can't imagine living anywhere else. But like my girlfriend's like, I want to, because she's from Richmond Hill.
Okay.
So she's like, I want to like raise my kids and grow up in the suburbs. I'm like, yeah, but I'm a city boy. Like I'm like I was telling you, I was in a band, I'd play downtown, go see shows downtown. I always kind of worked in the GTA.
Toronto's, there's a lot more to there. I don't know if I had kids, if I would want to raise them in Toronto. The school system's fucked. Politically motivated crap. Like, I just don't agree with any of that shit. Someone sent me a message recently, like, if any kids want to identify as black, we need to be notified. Like, what the fuck is that?
I've heard, I don't have kids, but I've heard stories of like from my friends that live in the suburbs and have kids, and something about a guy that I work with, or he works for a different company. He lives in Barrie, and he's like, yeah, my kid was telling me there's a kid in the class that needs a litter box because he's a furry. And I'm like, whoa. Like that's
your kid needs a hitting. That's what the kid needs, man. It needs a beating. I don't give a shit. Just wake up, man.
They let too much stuff slide now. It's like
everyone is just like, I can call whatever. I'm a pirate. Cut your leg off. I don't give a shit. I blame the parents because I think they're too stupid and just leave it at that. But we'll talk about a bunch of other shit. You reached out and you said a few markers that I was like, yeah, for sure I want to talk about that. But you're obviously a union guy, framer. You're currently still framer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to share what union with or no?
Yeah, 183.
183, right? No, I always ask, right? And then you want to talk also because you had a chance to work with your dad, and then you had a little bit of altercation with somebody so on a job site, if we touch upon that. A foreman and stuff, and that's it. So we're just going to bounce around and just talk about the construction industry. I want to do a quick shout out to 804. I'm wearing his cap today. Thank you very much. I always lately I've got a stack of caps here that people have given me over the time, and it was great because sometimes I get booze, they bring it in, and then I was at a cigar lounge last week, and all of a sudden I brought a couple of bottles that were gifted to me, and I was like, let's crack one open and enjoy ourselves, and it was a good time. So other than that, Rich, where do you want to begin? I mean, I want to share with everybody that you can reach out to Rich at _ Rich Rules. It's RULEZ on IG, right? Catch you there. And so how far back the music goes?
Oh, I've been a musician since I was a little boy. I think 8 I got my first guitar. And it was just, it's the only thing I never like quit. It's like, just, I knew as a little kid I wanted
it up right away.
I always knew I wanted to do it, and I picked it up, and it just, a year I was already playing full songs, and just.
Did you go do the touring thing and all the clubs and
because
bars?
It was like when I was like in high school, like by the time I turned 20, I was like, with a good group of guys, and we started the band, booked shows, and it just went from there. And we opened up for bigger bands, but it was kind of short lived too.
How far back we talking here?
Between 2009 and 2011, and then my band broke up. So
where did everybody go?
I don't know.
Okay, so you didn't even stay in touch with them?
I keep in touch with one guy, the singer.
Okay, and he's still in it, or is he working somewhere else? No,
his father was actually a framer too, that worked for my dad.
Well, it's interesting because there's crossover. I remember my early days being in production. I used to go to the bars all the time. I would meet a lot of up and coming bands. I would love them. Like I would get along really, because the idea was to try to get music videos. I was a director at the time, and I wanted to direct music videos. So I would be hanging out with them, talking to them, coming up with creative ideas, what we can do. We'd go through the whole grant process, try to get some funding to do it, or try to pull some. You know how it all works, right?
Yeah, I had a really hard time getting the grant.
Dude, I got one out of all the hundreds of times that I applied. I never understood, because I thought these kids, you know, they were my age at the time. We're talking in our early 20s. They were super talented, man, like amazingly talented. And then what happens is you start getting the grant process, and then you go online to see who received it. And you get people like Alanis Morissette got it. Bryan Adams got it. You got all these established Canadian artists that would get it. And I'm like, how are you supposed to start a grant process that's supposed to attract more up and coming talent in Canada, and you're only giving the money to the established artists?
But with the arts, it's always been like that, because
it needs to change, because how do you invite more up and coming young bands to get exposure? Yeah, because
it's different from when, like, you know, the 80s and 90s. You'd hope that like a record label scout was at your show.
Yeah.
Now it's like, yeah, they're there, but YouTube, and it's sort of. I've had people tell me it's easier to get a record deal now than it was 20 years ago. I don't know.
I would add a little prefix to that. It's easier to be abused to get a record deal these days, because they'll sign a deal that is not good for them. It's good for the label.
Even Black Sabbath, they didn't make any money until later on. A lot of guys get screwed, right?
Listen, I came from the 80s and 90s where you start hearing horror stories, you know, George Michael, Prince. You know, the best thing that Michael Jackson ever did was he retained all of his own music. But then all of a sudden he just magically dies, right? And then the ownership of those tracks went somewhere. We don't know where, but they went somewhere.
And I don't know if you know the story, he bought the whole Beatles catalog.
Yeah, he had the Beatles catalog. And also, before he passed, he was in negotiations to buy Marvel.
No way.
Yeah.
I didn't
look into that. He was ready to buy the whole Marvel, everything, all the characters. He wanted to play some of the characters, you know, in the movie business, on that side of the business. But all of a sudden he passes away, and then the deal goes away. And I'm like, oh, come on. This is like a little bit of shadiness going on.
Even the whole situation with his doctor was weird. Michael Jackson's doctor. What didn't he get?
Oh, doctor. I thought you said talk show. I was like,
sorry.
No, okay, doctor.
I mumble a bit.
No. The doctor. Yeah. Man, the guy was like administrating drugs that he should not have been administrating, right? Like, come on.
I was in Portugal when Michael Jackson died, and I was buying cigarettes in like a little convenience store, and the guy's like, "Hey, man, Michael Jackson just died." I'm like, "No way!" And I'm looking up at the TV. I'm like, "Oh shit, Michael Jackson's dead." And then he's like, "Yeah, the doctor," and there's a whole scandal. And yeah, it was.
I wouldn't want to be an artist today, because I think they get taken advantage of. And when I watch shows like The Voice, or I watch shows like American Idol, I'm like, you guys are just manipulating these kids, man. Like, it's not fair at all. And then whoever sells out shows up at a Diddy party. You know what I mean? And then they get rung into this bullshit. And then all of a sudden, anybody who speaks out gets shut down. You know what I mean? And it's not fair at that point, because then all I want to see true talent. That's all I want to do.
It's almost like, because I know some musicians, it's like the less famous and successful you are, the less fucked up you are. You get fame screws people up. Look at Bieber. He looks like an old beat up roofer.
Something happened there.
Back to Michael Jackson. Because I've had it in my head, I don't want to forget it.
Yeah.
You know the Grand Theft Auto games?
Yeah.
A lot of they just remade them recently. They took out a lot of they took out Billie Jean from Vice City because of like royalties. So now the royalties Michael Jackson was getting 20 years ago, I guess they renegotiate their royalties deal. So they took out like a Queens of the Stone Age song from like the Tony Hawk games. It's always, you know what, I know guys that own record labels, and there's a lot of stuff that it's like, really, like for over cents and dollars, you're gonna go.
Well, it starts to add up when it's millions of people making a purchase, right? That's how Napster was able to do what they were doing, right? It's just like, I respected Taylor Swift when she re-recorded all of her tracks to get away from the Scooter Braun thing, right?
Yeah.
He was smart to purchase her library, but what I don't respect about Taylor Swift is that she took her fans and got them to attack Scooter.
They were like threatening to burn his house down.
That's crossing a line now. Now I have no respect for you, because he's a businessman and you're a business person as well too. So you made a deal, and all of a sudden it was actually technically your dad that made that deal and you signed off on it. And all of a sudden you're not happy about it. So then you come up with a smart idea to re-record your tracks, which is great. So now you retain the royalties to those new tracks, new recordings of those old tracks, right? Scooter doesn't get it. But for you to antagonize your following to get them to make threats on this guy, that's fucking wrong.
That's like, yeah, you're using
your power, your celebrity power,
because you have you know, I believe that, okay, you're an artist, your art is your art.
Yes.
But you have a duty to your fans because you influence them.
Yeah.
And you know, like, it's just, those Swifties are all nuts too. Like,
listen, I got no respect for anything that's associated with Taylor Swift, and I don't give a shit if anybody tells me that she empowers women and all this other crap. And I'm like, she's a product. That's all she is, and she's selling things to all these fans, right? I'm just curious, based on the music thing, before we start getting into the construction side of business, is there any artist that you respect today?
Oh yeah, tons. Like, you know what? Canadian musicians are a lot more respectable than American musicians, because the American music market, and because all my friends who are Canadian musicians struggle to tour the States. They're like, we don't make money. They
just by the label of being Canadian?
That, and I think it's they always do a little bit better in Europe, because Europe is more open-minded. Like, they'll play heavy metal on MTV at like 10 in the morning, right? The States, I don't know. I there's something about, like, if you're an American band, I guess, because it's something about Canadian artists can't break out in the American scene unless they're like Bryan Adams, Shania Twain, Drake.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, well, Drake is talentless. I don't give a shit what anybody says. It's just my opinion. He's talentless. He was a product again. He was a product that was sold to the fan base. That's it, right? But back in the day, the whole Our Lady Peace, right, like those kinds of groups, they did well in the States. They were able to. Nickelback, same thing, right? So they did well in the States. They actually thrived in the States. But nowadays, I agree with you. It's almost like if you're musician, artist, and States, it doesn't equal.
It's like, yeah, it's
which is stupid, because they're talented.
Much like construction, music is a fickle business. Like, I think Tom Waits is the greatest musician ever. How many people really know about Tom Waits?
If you're my age or our generation, you totally know who he is, and you know a lot about who he is, right? And who he influenced too. And you start talking about, like, he's in the groups of Lou Reed, he's in the groups of Cohen, like a bunch of people.
Yeah,
like, you start looking at these individual artists that were different. They stood out. And it would have been the same thing with Dylan back in the 60s. You know, I mean, you had artists that were not doing what the mainstream was doing, and they were trying to carve out their own niche. Nobody's carving out their own niche for these days, right? They're too concerned. Are they being packaged to not carve out their own niche?
I honestly, I think the label and management has a big influence on that. Like,
way too much.
Like heavy metal bands and, you know, punk, like heavier music, I think the labels already know that they got to let the artist fly. Let you know, like what Marilyn Manson was doing. People, you know, he freaked out a lot of people, but that today is not that the stuff Marilyn Manson was doing back then is not that weird today.
If you are a business owner, subcontractor, or client, you know that trust in this industry is huge, and Contract App helps build that. Not only do they get a solid contract for your projects, they built in an e-signature tool for you and your clients. The contract dashboard also has a digital live log that records every step of the project, plus a rate and review system for both the contractor and the client. This means more transparency and accountability for everyone. Stop running your business on an estimate and a handshake. Protect yourself with Contract App. Book your free demo or sign up today at www.contractapp.ca and use promo code TCL to get your first month for free. This message is proudly supported by The Construction Life. See, it's interesting because I just recently saw the trailer for Tron Ares, right? And they actually used the whole thing about Nine Inch Nails being a part of Tron Ares, how they're doing the music because Daft Punk, they broke up and they did Tron Legacy. And it's going to be interesting because I am a Nine Inch Nails fan. I go way back to Pretty Hate Machine, right? Like I was in school, studying post when that track launched, right? And I was blown away by that first album. And then he comes out with Closer, and then that's a whole other story, right? And then they started setting a precedent regarding that kind of style of music, and I loved it. It totally made a lot of sense. But for the last 20, I would say 2 decades, he's just been an independent artist, Trent Reznor and Atticus, right? And all of a sudden now for them to launch the Nine Inch Nails brand back again, I hope he does it justice. I hope he rekindles I hope it's just a progression of what would have been if Nine Inch Nails carried on the last 2 decades. That's what I'm hoping for. But you still are dealing with the Disney machine.
Yeah.
They're going to have a say on how this music's going to roll out because Nine Inch Nails was edgy. Like I actually, once they announced that, I remember, I have Closer on the fucking vinyl. You know what I mean? Like I remember when Closer came out and then you watch it. And then I also know that it was David Fincher that directed the video. And I watched the video and the video was banned. It was banned on MTV. It was banned on Much Music. And it was banned for a few reasons. And I understand it, but it's tame for this shit today. Like you watch it now, you're like, oh yeah, it's an open up pig and it's dissection and it's fucking some S&M shit going on in there. It's stylized. It works. I hope that's the Nine Inch Nails that we see in Tron. I don't know if we're going to see that though. Production.
Disney.
That's
its own. You saw what happened with Snow White.
I saw the moment that she opened up her mouth. I said, this is going to fail.
Weird.
But the thing is, did she open up the mouth? Or did the executives ask her to open up that mouth?
They
Listen, if you're working for a big $1 trillion corporation and you want to have that career, you better get in fucking line. Or shut up and go independent. You know what I'm looking for, Rich, to be very honest? I had this conversation recently because I'm still a big film guy. I'm still production-wise in the show, and I'm still conscious of it, and I'm paying attention to a lot of shit that's going on. I really hope we see the indie scene come back in a vengeance 10, 20, 30-fold because of what's going on with all these corporations consuming everything, right?
The best.
You remember the 90s indie scene?
Yeah.
Film and music?
Yeah,
it was refreshing, man.
Like Jay and Silent Bob, Clerks. Like Clerks that movie was like so low budget, and it was the black and white thing, I guess.
I know. But it was the independent voice where you didn't have studio executives telling you what to do. And it was just a shame because then you see a lot of young, filmmakers come in, they do their first film, it fucking explodes, it's amazing. And then they do the second film and you're like, yeah, I see what happens here. That's why I kind of respect and I don't respect M. Night Shyamalan, right? I just look at him going, he self-finances all this project, so he doesn't have to fucking account to anybody, which is very respectful, right? Yeah. He makes shit. He's only done one good film, in my opinion. Which
one is that?
Sixth Sense. That's it.
I didn't watch that one.
You never watched Sixth Sense? That's the whole reason he has a career is because of Sixth Sense.
He did another big M. Night Shyamalan. Did he do the Wu-Tang movies? No.
No.
What did M.
He always makes a movie that they sell on a hook, and then it's always the same fucking hook. And the problem was that his hook in Sixth Sense was brilliant, but it was around the same time that Usual Suspects came out. It was around the same time that Seven came out. So those kinds of hugely surprising hooks, people weren't expecting all this shit. Now it's like everybody's doing it.
You're saying Sixth Sense. I thought you were saying Sixth Sense with Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis, yeah.
So it's early in the morning. Can't enunciate. Haley Joel Osment also kind of disappeared because he's
a kid actor, which is a challenging thing, and Macaulay Culkin and everybody.
He did a lot of voice acting though.
Did he?
And he did a video game.
He was great in Sixth Sense. He was great in Forrest Gump. He was like, as a kid actor, he played Forrest Jr. at the very end.
Oh, is that? Holy shit! I didn't even know. He did some movie after in the.
He was in a Kevin Smith movie.
Which one?
He did a cameo. I'm trying to remember. I don't know if it was the one before Walrus or something. I can't remember. Okay, but he was in one of those, yeah.
He did some movie where I think he's a teacher or something.
Possibly.
He's like hooking up with the.
I mean, the point is that I see all these corporations controlling thing. I'm disappointed about Amazon buying Bond. Like, I start seeing these things. There's huge threats going on around right now that Disney might buy Warner Brothers, which will consume DC. And I'm like, that's not a good idea in my opinion, because Disney sucks. They don't know how to tell a story.
Or they already ruin what's kind of there, right? Like,
so that's why I'm hopeful that the indie scene will come back and everything will just be different, where you literally can grab your iPhone and shoot a movie if you wanted to, and focus on the story as a kid, as a person. And that's applicable to construction. Like, you get on site, everyone's always shooting content for social media, but everyone's always telling their own story. The thing is, if they start perfecting it and trying to, like, we can come up with really good stuff, right? But people, I guess, sometimes are afraid to share for, getting some sort of feedback. People are nervous about speaking up. And I always find it kind of interesting talking to a union person. And I just recently spoke to a couple of union guys. And I did the show with the Local 27, Chris Campbell. And all of a sudden, when someone talks about the union, they're hesitant about saying certain words. And whether they're pro or against it, right? But when it's a non-union person, they're not hesitant about expressing any words. So why is there such a hesitation to talk about the union, pro or not? I don't understand that part. If it's so good, just talk about it.
I think was it you that said in your video that unions were a good idea? Yeah. It was, to me, because I've been union since I started. Yeah, it's cool. You get your dental, they kind of protect your job. Something happens, but also something happens on the job site, you call the union, the foreman's going to get rid of you right after, like, because you're that guy, you're the tattletale, right? The union,
I thought the union asks you to do that. If you see something wrong, you're supposed to speak up. So then you speak up, and then now you're not given work, or you move to another job site that's further away from your position. How's that a brotherhood?
Yeah, it's the way it is. It's kind of like, it's like we this can slide, but this can't slide, and
it can't be that way. That's not how it works. Is it true? Someone just recently told. I was talking to a much older GC, and he started in the sheet metal union. I don't know what number that is. Way back in the 70s, and he told me that whenever a union goes on strike, the workers get a dramatically reduced amount of pay to picket.
$100 a week, or I can't remember.
Whatever the amount is, it's a fraction of something. But all of the union executives are still paid full.
Shit goes downhill.
But that's not right, though.
It's not right, of course.
If the brothers and sisters of the union base are being reduced on their salary, then the executive base, the brass, should do the exact same thing. They should be receiving the same $100 per day. That's what they should be doing. But they're not. So how is that a brotherhood and a sisterhood? That's the problem I have with the unions, because I think in the early days, you probably had executives, so-called union leaders for people, all this other shit. They were there on the picket lines. They were there defending. They were there side by side. But that's not the case today. And that's why the threat of unions, I had somebody else, again, like all of a sudden I start talking unions on the show, and lots of people are reaching out. And I had another person come out. He's like, you're not wrong, Manny, on what you're saying. But then I get also other people telling me, he goes, listen, anybody who says anything negative about the union, they're either one of two things or both of them. They're disgruntled and or they're lazy. I'm like, you can't blanket the people like that, because that's non-union applicable too. It's just human nature. You can say you're disgruntled and lazy. It doesn't matter who you are.
I believe that I'm a simpleton, right? I see things black and white, which isn't always good. I believe
it probably is better than seeing things gray.
I believe that if you work hard,
yes,
you should be rewarded.
Yes.
You should reap what you sow. You should see the fruits of your labor.
Yes.
And if you're breaking your back every day, fuck, you deserve a nice house. You deserve a nice car. Okay, live within your means. Live beneath. My mother's a banker. She taught me to live beneath my means.
Good.
And yeah, it's like, why we have a Portuguese saying, eu não venho para aqui para ir para casa com as mãos abanadas.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to go home. Yeah, you don't want to go home empty-handed. You want to go, like...
But that used to be the case. That's back at the same person I was talking to. He was like, when he got started, he was able to buy a house. Talking about a house that was like 50 grand at the time in the 70s. He was able to buy a Corvette. It was a little used, and he paid $6,000 for it. He had to get a loan for it, but he was paying payments on a Corvette. But here you are, a young kid in your 20s, driving a sports car, paying bills for a mortgage. It's not applicable to today, man.
It's now it's like, and my friend always tells me, the problem is not what we make. It's how much things cost.
I was just going to say, it's not what you guys make, it's what they take.
Yeah, it's
the amount that they take.
I love that meme where it's like, oh, where was the government when I was doing overtime? Like, they only appear when my check, like, it's really funny. I love how there's so many deprecating memes out there where it's like, holy shit, this meme is so true. It's like, why does the government get to make as much as I do? Like, it's almost like, you know, when I used to work for my dad and do private jobs. Okay, yeah, my dad would make money off my head, but your boss is supposed to make money off of you when, you know.
Does the union tell you guys that you guys make 24 cents off every dollar you make? That's the final amount on average that you guys get to keep.
I can count on one hand how many times I've talked to union reps on a job site. They always say, oh, it's in the book, it's in the union book how much you should make, or piece workers. Oh, you know, like the house they tell you to refer to the book. I don't think they like to incriminate themselves. They kind of like, oh yeah, it's like I had my rough-in company, and I was paying.
So you started off as a union?
I've always sort of been a union guy.
Okay, and then you went on your own, kind of try it out?
Well, I was a union piece worker doing back framing.
Okay.
My dad was helping me out, and
he had his own business too?
Yeah, my dad had his own business for years.
And then you would go and work with him, help him out?
Yeah, I would work with my dad and then like take a day off if I had to go play a show with my band. Like, it was.
Was he a tough boss?
He's gonna see this video. Yeah, he wasn't the worst, but he was. My dad was tough on me, but.
Well, was it justified?
Of course, it was justified because.
Okay, so then in my mind, it's not a tough boss.
My dad was just showing me like, this is how you got to be, you know. And I worked with my dad's crews, and they were, you know, they didn't really care that I was his son. They were just as tough on me. They're like.
He didn't want you to get special treatment.
No. And my dad had a partner who I didn't really get along with, and it was like I was just there. I was just there working for my dad. I wasn't special. I was, you know.
Did he hate the fact that you would leave sometimes to go do the gig?
No. My dad was like supportive.
He was supportive.
He was supportive.
Okay,
both my parents were supportive of. They knew, and they still.
I'll always be supportive of anybody that's being artistic. Anybody who wants to try anything artistic.
Yeah, like, okay, maybe my dad's dad wouldn't have been supportive.
No, of course,
If that, like, my sister's a painter too, and I think my parents did nurture what they knew we would. It's better than doing drugs. Keeps us off the street, keeps us off drugs, right?
Well, you could be in the music industry and also in the artistic industry and doing drugs. You know what I mean? So you got to. Listen. My fair share in the film business, man. It's almost hors d'oeuvres, right? That there's drugs everywhere. That's just how it is, right? I never got into the game because I was so focused on the actual art side of things. I was more curious about creating stuff. I wasn't interested in being that person. And I've seen people actually eventually die. Young people, younger than me. They got hooked on certain things and they were hanging out with the wrong people, and all of a sudden they're gone.
If you really look at it, like, whether you're a banker, whether you're a stockbroker, a construction worker, musician, there's a lot of jobs like that where, like, I've been on job sites where guys are on drugs, are drinking. It's almost like it's like being a pirate. The debauchery comes with it. It's like, oh, you know, like I got to do some cocaine if I'm going to do a 10-hour shift and pour concrete, right? I got to be.
I've heard it. I know I've heard it. What's the stance of the union on that?
Well, they don't. I'm pretty sure they send you home for the day, and then a lot of companies have the Back on Track program where it's like, oh, we're gonna help you get help. Like we're gonna send you.
What does that mean?
Your company essentially sends you to rehab.
And you got to go what, once or twice a week, or you gone for until you actually kind of kick it?
I'm not even sure. I think it's just so it looks good on them, right? Do you think they really care if you're on drugs?
Well, there's two things here. My number one concern would be if you being on something causes the death or injury of another coworker, and second, if it causes your own death or injury. And if you can prevent it because you see this individual obviously is something going on. At Maple Overhead Garage Doors, they're not just opening doors, they're opening possibilities. Serving the Greater Toronto Area with top quality garage doors in steel, wood, fiberglass, flush mount, and full view aluminum, Maple delivers style, strength, and satisfaction for both residential and commercial spaces. With years of experience, unmatched craftsmanship, and the next level service, your neighbors will be jealous, but your garage door will speak for itself. Visit www.maplegaragedoors.com. Email them at maplegaragedoors@hotmail.com, or even call them at 905-738-9231. Follow them on social at Maple Doors and discover why quality, knowledge, and experience live at Maple. Maple Overhead Garage Doors, built to impress, made to last. This message is proudly supported by The Construction Life. You're also at fault too at that point if you don't do anything about it.
You're just as guilty. It's
100%.
like you got to, you got to tell the foreman or something like, hey, this guy's not well. Like let's before he kills himself or kills somebody else or hurts somebody, let's figure this out. And you know what? Nobody's perfect.
No. Maybe we don't know what's going on in their lives. We don't know what they're going through. We get it. I understand that. But to come to work and put others at risk or yourself at risk, that's a different story. And plus to be on a construction site, lots of opportunity to actually have something happen.
And then you got like WSIB, then you got then a company, why should the company suffer because this guy's an idiot? Like, oh, now he's going to be on compensation. Now he's going to be on light duty because he was careless. It's like, no, dude, it's like you fucked up. Okay, the company's this big thing. They make a lot of money, but it's like, why? They're successful because they worked hard, because they took the risk. You are dumb and are doing drugs, and why should you get to now be on light duty and make money and push a broom because you were careless?
I just wish that the unions would just go back to the way that the reason behind why they started. They started based on treating workers fairly. It was just a simple premise, man. Just treat them fairly, get them a fair wage. And that's all forgotten. It's all spoken about as sound bites, but it's truly all forgotten, man.
They make it where you can have a guy who's never done construction go make a decent wage his first day because they have their pre-apprentice rates or whatever. But you might have a guy who comes on site and says, hey, I have experience. Or, it's not fair that one guy is making as much as another guy and one guy is taking 3 smoke breaks and fucking off and this guy's actually working hard. It's like there's got to be that sort of that division, right?
I go back to the word brotherhood and sisterhood. I mean, you guys are all supposed to be watching out for each other's back, but why is there such a line drawn in the sand? And then, like you said earlier, once you speak up, then you're reprimanded, not the situation. You're supposed to fix the situation.
Or nothing's corrected because you
leave it alone. Then you ignore it until something traumatic happens. Then it becomes a situation. Then they investigate, and then they're obviously going to try to figure out who's really at fault here.
And you got a lot of companies that they have guys that shouldn't be there because nepotism. Oh, it's the foreman's nephew. We can't get rid of him. It looks bad, even though he's useless.
If he's useless, get the fuck out of here. I don't like lazy people.
I hate, you know what? My dad, my parents never, they hammered that into me, like, to not be lazy.
If you want to earn a living, if you want to learn skills, earn it. Find it, work, try others on the side, weekends, do some research, go online, do a training course, like earn it.
The best way, the way I learned was I just went to work with my dad.
Yeah.
And no schooling could have prepared me for that. It was like, no, you got to you literally have to grab the work and do it and learn, get hurt, maybe.
Did you get it right away, Rich? Like, did you? No, neither did I. Like, I vividly remember my dad smacking my head because he would show me how to do something and I couldn't figure it out. Then he would smack my head. And it went from the hand to the handle of the hammer to the level. Like, you just, like, are you understanding this? Are you getting this? Until you finally got it, and then you finally got it and you didn't get a smack. That's how you learned. And am I a psycho now? Am I mentally challenged now as a result of this? No, that's how I learned. I picked it up, and you would get fewer smacks as you picked it up. So your objective was to learn.
It's like, there's lines. There's extremes. And then there's, like my dad and people, not just my dad, some people go too far. They go too far. Okay, yeah, you got to be tough on people because that's how, that's how people learn. But also, there's nothing wrong with going, hey, listen, man, you're fucking this up.
100%.
Do you see what, and I had a lot of good people that did that for me too. Like, hey, look at this. This is how it's done. You see what, and you got to know why. The biggest thing, the most important thing is knowing why things are the way they are. Why you're building it like this, and the rest will come. The rest.
If you're just building something, and you're not understanding the why behind it, then what's the purpose of you building it? There's a reason why you're building this form, this wall, this whatever it is. You need to know the why behind it, so then you can figure out how to do it.
Exactly, and then
that's construction.
And then if you don't, people that know how to read plans, okay, it's like people that start their own business. You get to a point where you're like, okay, you know what? I think I know what I'm doing. I'm going to go ahead and try. And whatever you don't know, you'll learn on the way. Figure it out as you go kind of thing, right? Fake it, sort of almost like a fake it till you make it, but
pretty much.
But you shouldn't have a guy who's one day on the site shouldn't have his own company because
no.
Of course not. Of course.
No.
But it's like what I said, extremes. Like, you got to sort of be ready. You got to know enough to go forward,
How young are you, man?
I'm 35.
So, officially, how many years you been in the union?
Since I was 22.
Okay. All right. And then what's your plan? You're going to stay there until when? I'm going to, I want to try to do the whole until I'm in my 50s. Like my dad retired early because he was a union guy too.
He was a union company. Yeah.
So how many years did he do in the union?
My dad didn't graduate. My dad retired because the recession in the 90s, my dad was a car salesman. Okay. So he lost a few years. So my dad's not getting his full pension, but my mom's a banker. She made it work for him with I don't know if he gets a pension because my dad only lived in Portugal for a few years. I don't know if he's getting a pension there, but with the union pension and the old age pension, he's making it work,
Yeah, I got it. So then he was in the union for how many years?
From probably the mid 80s, early 80s until whenever he stopped working.
Which would have been what?
I'm going to say 2018. 2018, I think my dad, yeah.
That's a long run. It's almost 40 years. 35 or so years, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to figure out, how many of these kids are staying in the union or staying in this industry for as long as the old generation used to stay?
Well, it's like anything. You got to love it. You got to, I don't want to be cooped up in an office. I loved the fact that I was outside with men, the camaraderie, I could have a cigarette whenever I wanted. Now, I had to quit smoking because I got pneumonia.
Okay.
So it's like I can't even touch a cigarette anymore. But it's nice. it's, to me, it's nice to be out with a bunch of dudes laughing, you know, cut each other up, but not be like too, you know, they're going to razz the guy with no experience. It's like school. It's very cliquey, right? Like you got a crew full of Portuguese guys and then there's like a Canadian guy.
Yeah.
But there's a real beauty to it. And like I remember people telling me, oh, you know, like you're a donkey if you go work construction. Like
that's where I was going with asking you about how old you are. Like, what is the perception of people that work in construction these days, if you're in your 30s?
I think now, because we have a lot more younger kids that they don't want to do that, I think they look at us and tell us we're crazy. They're like, we could never do that. Like my girlfriend tells me, she's like, I could never do what you do. And
what does she do? Can I ask what she does?
My girlfriend is an ECE.
What's that?
Early childhood education.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
She works for a program where it's like it's almost like a daycare that the parents can come and like they can do activities with the kid, and it's the company's called Early On.
So the parents come in and almost like a co-op, they're hanging out with their kids.
Yeah, or I think they can even drop off their kids.
Okay.
So it's like, it's essentially a daycare, like an activity day for the kids. It's government funded.
So she's one of the teachers there. Are they teachers? I don't know.
They're what's the word? They're
early educators.
Yeah, there's a word for them.
Okay.
Yeah, and she does a lot of administrative stuff, I think, too. Though
Okay.
And she does their social media. She does all kinds of stuff for them.
See, like my point is downtown. when you start going downtown, obviously, you know what's missing in downtown these days that I remember back in the 80s and 90s that I would see probably almost every single corner were parking lots. Parking lots are like scarce these days because they've all been turned into condos, right? Mm-hmm. Or townhome complexes or whatever. They're just gobbling up all this land, and that's just what's been going on. So obviously all these hipsters, these young people are walking around in the core, they're going to their office jobs, and they probably walk by half a dozen construction sites, and they probably think nothing of it, nor will they ever have the skills to do any of that stuff or want to do any of that stuff. But they're going to their office jobs, whether it's an IT job or I don't know what they're doing these days. I don't know what the latest and greatest are. Are they all just influencers, or are they? I don't know what all this young generation people are doing for them to be affording, you know, condos downtown, which are probably $3 or $4 grand a month for rental, or they're grabbing their fucking coffees, you know, 5 times a day that they're paying X amount for. They're Uber eating. Like, I don't understand how they survive financially speaking.
Yeah,
but they refuse to do construction. And then I guess technically if you tell them the numbers associated with construction, which, you know, the union does a really good job on trying to sell you, you know, you're making $100 grand plus, you've got all these benefits, you'll get your healthcare, you get all this other shit, you can get Ozempic, you can get weed. You know, I'm waiting for them to start sending flights out to Turkey so you can get your hair done if you want, you get your teeth done. I'm waiting for all that shit, it's part of the union. But these other people that are not in the construction industry, are they really making all this money, or are they just fucking faking it to make it, and all of a sudden they're presenting as if they're making all this money? Or do they have like 15 jobs and it's all 15 side hustles to make one full-time employment? I don't know what's going on. It was a struggle for me back in the day to get production. Like, it was easy for me to be in the union to get work as a technical. We would get a movie, we would get a TV show. TV shows were great. We would go 5 months straight work, 5, sometimes 6 days a week. You're getting paid, this is the early 2000s, $25 an hour, right? And I always rang the fucking union shop. He would come in, show up on his face on set, and I would just rang him. I was like, why are you taking all this? I would just complain about everything. Like, what's the purpose behind this shit? I'm not seeing any benefit from this behind this shit. But you had, because I was in the union, you had to abide by this crap, right? But I was making good money at that point. And then when I started getting to directing, and you're a solo artist now, you're independent, you get an agent, you start floating around, but you have to hustle. You have to hustle and get work on your own, right? It was a much more challenging, but I was driven by the creativity. Back in that day, you were allowed to be creative, right? There was still bullshit. You know, there was just industry bullshit attached to that, but it worked. But when I see the people today, and I still talk to a lot of people in the film business, they shake their head because most of the people that are doing the creative positions are placed there because of DEI points. They're hired because they're either gay, trans, black, minority, immigrant. They're not white technically, and I'm just simplifying it, but they're not. And you see what they create, and you see what they contribute for creativity, and it fucking sucks. So they're not talented, but they're the ones that are getting the work.
Nepotism.
It's the same thing in construction. I get it. Three-way the world. These little puppies. I'm speaking from experience. I've actually installed these and I love these. Three-way prefabricated inside drywall corner. The first one-piece solution for perfect, crisp corners every time. With three-way, you'll improve your quality, save on labor, and cut down on time. Traditional methods require 3 tapes, lots of sanding, and high skill. But with three-way corners, they install in just a fraction of the time with fewer steps. It is adjustable for any angle, reinforced to cover gaps, and designed to blend seamlessly into the corner. Say goodbye to pesky touch-ups and hello to flawless finishes. Try three-way today and revolutionize your drywall game. Perfect corners every time. To purchase or check out some how-to videos to see the installs in action, visit threeway.ca or connect with them at 306-514-3768 or drop them an email at threewaytheworld@gmail.com. Connect with me, TCL, and stop by the studio and get a free pack on us for anyone to try. And trust me, I'm telling you, you'll love it. This message is proudly supported by the Construction Life. But do they do that because they don't care about the workers? It's a fucking building. It's boxes on top of boxes, and you're just another fucking number. So if you get hurt, you have a dependency, you don't show up, there's another monkey ready to fucking replace you.
And now it's super slow. I'm only working 4 days a week because the site I'm on doesn't want us working Friday. I guess we have so many skilled tradesmen in Ontario. These people shouldn't be at home. These people are the foundation of society. I've struggled with existentialism and anxiety and depression. Now, I used to think like, oh, I work construction for a living. It's a very small part of me. I'm a musician at heart. Almost like I had this thing inside of me that was very, not that I almost resented what I did.
It's like a career?
Yeah. It's like, oh.
But why?
There's a whole thing coming here. Sure. Not that my dad pressured me, but he was like, hey, he romanticized it. Everyone that I knew that worked construction romanticized it for me. Like,
what do they do to romanticize it?
I think just they would be like, hey, it's tough, but look, I have a nice house, and it's at the end of the day, like they're doing it for the right reasons, which is you should do something because you want to do it, not because of what comes with it or I always had this thing like, no, my purpose is to be a musician, and that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to die. I'm going to die a musician. And then I was like, you know what? One day I kind of like realized, or someone, I think a girl I was dating told me, she goes, no. What you do is very important. You build houses for people. What you do has a great purpose. It's important. And that's when it kind of all clicked in my head. I'm like, this isn't a small part of me. This is a big part of who I am. Like I work with my hands. I create, and I want to do a good job, because without guys like me, we're going to be on the streets. Everyone needs a place to live. Yep. Everyone needs a place to live.
Yep.
And I don't think people should shit on construction workers, because we're giving you a place to drink your Starbucks coffee and content create. We're giving you a home, and we work hard and break our bodies so others don't have to, and we work hard so others don't have to. And I think, I'm not going to work at a desk and be a banker, so someone else is going to do that. They're going to be safe in the building, like my mother. I work outside in the cold so someone else can do their part. I believe it's like it's just the way things should be.
You're part of society, right? So you're contributing, right?
That's my place in society. I'm the guy.
I get it.
And just like the garbage man, just like the guy who works in the sewers, or the guy who cleans the buildings. That's my place in society.
My problem, though, is like government and like union brass and executives, more money is going into their pockets and less money is going into the worker.
For sure.
And sure, you can just talk about what the average construction union member makes today, but you never finish that sentence with how much money is taken away from that salary. And then nobody ever talks about how much an executive makes or how much a politician makes. We just recently saw, Toronto's mayor and their team got a 26% wage hike.
Like they deserve it.
Like that's, you know what I mean? And you have older people saying, well, they haven't received one in a few years, so they deserve it. And I'm like, well, it should be, if you're a public servant, reflection of the public. So if you're an executive with a union or a development executive, your pay should be in line with the workers' pay. It should not be astronomically different. And it is right now.
Yeah,
that's the problem I have. So based on the executives' rates and what they're making and their benefits and all this shit that they get, they probably do get the flights to Turkey and get the hair done, right? You know what I'm saying? So my point is that you guys should be making $200 an hour based on that.
Yeah.
So then you could do 4 days and it's okay. Then you could still buy a Corvette. You can buy a house. You can provide for your family. That's what I'm saying.
And do chiro once a week because your back is fucked. You
beat your body to the point where you need all this stuff. But what's going to happen when you're an old man and you need assistance as a result of all this pain? Where's the union then?
Oh, you get your little statue and they tell you, hey, thanks.
I would love to see a spreadsheet of a union, every single member and every single person that's on that union to make that union run. And I want to see the salary associated with every single person. I want that to be public. Because if the union is so amazing, I want to see that publicly. So then I can say that's not a union.
There should be a union rep, I think, on the job site every single day because
I agree.
If you're making, I've heard they make good money.
You represent the workers. You're the voice of the workers. If you're not on site speaking to the workers, how are you a representation of the workers? You're not listening to what they're saying. Right? So I'm not asking you to receive 10,000 emails from 10,000 members and then they send you a note of what's going on. I'm not asking for that. But in some way in your job schedule, you need to be on site. You need to stop by and you need to speak to people. Not the suits. You need to speak to the workwear. That's what you need to speak to.
And I've seen them on site and they come and they give the...
But how often do you see it? Do you have more statutory holidays than they do that you see them? We have 10 here in Canada in a year. So are you seeing them more than 10 times or are you seeing them fewer times?
No, I'm...
Fewer, right?
Of course.
That's my joke about that, right? That's what I mean is that it's not a brotherhood if Big Daddy on the top is making these six-figure salaries and then the workers are struggling with a low six-figure salary. Struggling. That's not a brotherhood.
Of course it's not a brotherhood. It's not like... If you have a group of guys, and you'll see this with companies too, with like smaller companies, like guys who do piecework. Okay, you got a framer, he frames a house, he's got his right-hand man. You know, I'm sure they give them a bonus, like, if you got 3 guys building a house, every guy has to do their part so they can all make money, they can all get paid well, and everybody's happy.
Of course.
And the boss is making money, you're making money. There should be that communal thing with every...
I don't think it's there though.
Of course it's not.
I'm not even on the site. I just speak to you guys, but I don't think it's there. And I've joked on some of the shows where I was like, I want to start ride-alonging with Ministry of Labor inspectors. I want to see if they're fucking doing anything because I honestly don't think they do shit. And their excuse is there aren't enough of them. Their excuse is they're not being paid enough. That's their excuse. So fine, you took the position, you have the job, you have your duties, you haven't left it, you're still consuming a salary from it, but you want to complain about what you're supposed to do. I'm here to tell you that maybe you don't belong here. Get the fuck out and find more money to pay the right people to do it. If
the right people were in the right positions, fuck, the world would go around way better. It's
But that's not what it's about. It's about the vision. I don't give a shit about what anybody says, right? We need to keep the workers at a certain point. We just need to give them a little bit, just enough that they won't revolt. That's it.
And you know what? If their rent's getting paid and they got some money left over,
I know, but that's not life. That's not society, man. Society is like you pay your bills and you save a little bit. You pay your bills and you save more. You pay your bills and you buy a toy. You buy a car. You buy something.
But it's not
or
like that anymore.
You have a kid, or you have 2 kids, or luckily maybe you have 5 kids. Maybe you buy a cottage. Maybe you buy a rental property. That's not going on. Right now, most of it is you just pay your fucking bills and survive.
Getting by. You're just getting by.
But you can't, how much, like Rich, honestly, can you do that for the next 30 years? Just survive, get by just enough. Or do you fucking revolt right now? Like, contracts are coming up. Do you strike? The question is, well, if you guys strike, you're going to get fuck all, and arbitration is going to come in and just force you guys to fucking go back to work. Or do you strike against the executives? That's what you do.
If people, me and my dad always talk about this. If people if you get one day in Toronto, Ontario, or in Ontario, nobody goes to work. The world.
I've had that planned for years.
And it's like, oh shit! I would have thought that COVID would have fixed
construction carried on.
Exactly.
If you shut down construction, every motherfucker in this country would notice. Every single motherfucker would notice.
If everybody in Toronto were to stay home for a couple of days, okay, that's when it's almost like you're negotiating. Okay, fine, come back to work and we'll give you then things. But
you know what would be happening behind the scenes now, right?
Well, what happened?
You would get people like Doug Ford, who's a motherfucking corrupt asshole, be calling the union executives, and he'd be like, "There's a reason why I fucking pay you all this money. Get everybody back to fucking work."
Yeah.
That's how that problem would get solved. That's not how it's supposed to get solved.
No.
You solve it by paying the workers a fair fucking wage. That's how you solve it, man. You pay them a fair wage, or you fucking end up creating a rage. Simple as that, man.
And a lot of these guys, they're paid good money. The problem is
the workers?
There are a lot of trades that are paid very well.
What's good money in your eyes today? 2025, April. What's good money today for a construction worker?
A lot of these guys are making close to $50 an hour, and that's
so $50 an hour, and then what's being taken off of that?
Oh, like 50%. They're in that.
So they're making $25 an hour, right? So we go back to the whole numbers game where, fine, you made $100,000 this year. BKA, man, you're fucking amazing. You can go get your $9 croissants every single day if you want, but you actually only took home $24,000.
Yeah, and yeah. Exactly.
So now you're living off of $24,000. That means you can only live in a place that's $1,000 a month, because now you got to buy groceries, you got to pay for fuel to get to work, or take an Uber, or take the transit, which means that you're going to drive transit 4 or 5 hours each way, both ways. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? So what's good money today? In my opinion, workers, all construction workers should be over $100 and should be keeping $100. The executives are. They're probably making what, $500,000? I joked on the show with Chris, on the show. We were just speculating, okay, what the fuck does he make? He's a union president. And I understand that Local 27 did clean house and nobody got elected in that position. They were just given the position. I get that. We joked about, okay, what do you think he's making? And the guesstimation at that time was about $300,000 or $400,000. Is that justified for what they're providing? In my opinion, fuck no.
No.
If the workers were making $100,000 base salary, then that person's salary at $300,000, I think, would be justified. But the workers are not making $100 an hour. They're not. So it's not justified. That's the problem I have with brass. I keep on speaking about this over and over, and it's going to keep on coming up, and more union members are going to come on the show. I already know someone's going to make a threat. I could feel it. Let it happen. I don't give a shit.
People, I believe that if you do something shady, you should be held accountable for it. We have
This is Canada.
We have, I'm going to speak candidly for a second. We have a certain politician who's involved with some bad stuff, and people
are talking provincially, are you talking municipally, are you talking federally? Are you talking all, what's the surprise? All fucking 3 of them are.
But it's like he's, this certain someone is saying that people are racist because he's involved with bad people, and they're saying it's a race thing. But it's like, no, you were involved with bad people, so you got to answer for that now.
Who are you talking about?
Jagmeet Singh.
Oh, him?
Yeah. He's involved. He was involved.
He doesn't care. He got his pension and he's made his millions of dollars and he doesn't give a fuck. He's the worst representation of the New Democratic Party ever. And he knows that he's out of a job come April 28th. But he doesn't care because his money is hidden in an offshore account somewhere, the same way Trudeau's is, same way Carney's is, and the same way Ford's is. They all do this shit. And Chow, maybe she remembers her account number. I don't know. But she fucking is doing the exact same thing.
And she probably got Jack Layton's money too, because they were married. They were, the story. They were living in.
She probably owns a rub and tug. I don't fucking know. Introducing Alt Labor Solutions, the game changer for contractors and laborers. Are you a contractor needing skilled labor, or have labor in need of quick shifts? Or how about buying, selling, or renting tools, material, and equipment? Connect easily with contractors and find resources hassle-free through Alt Labor Solutions online platform. Post job listings with project details, browse public resumes, and choose the right person for the job. Explore their job board for new opportunities and connect with top talent. Alt Labor Solutions revolutionizes the labor industry with a user-friendly interface, secure payments, and a supportive team. Visit them at altlaborsolutions.com and start connecting with other contractors today. This message is proudly supported by the Construction Life.
Oh, man.
Everyone can look up history there. Jack got caught in a rub and tug, which is really fucked up because his wife is Asian, right? So,
but hey, you know what? But they really demonized him. It's like, hey, the guy likes to get, he likes to get a handy. They made him really look like a villain there. It's like, hey, you know what? Rob Ford with the crack. It's like, if this guy,
I would prefer him over his brother.
Nobody's perfect.
In a heartbeat. Yeah, I had no fucking problem.
Oh, Rob was the man.
He was. I loved his press conferences, man. He was honest. You know that he was still a little bit corrupt. He had a little bit of, he had a few fucking vices and he was doing crack, and I get it, but he's still running the city a lot fucking better than what it's being run right now. So that shows you how he was on drugs doing a better job versus the people that are not on drugs right now doing a shit job.
Imagine Van Gogh didn't have his drugs. Would his paintings be as good? I went to the exhibit. Oh, he was a loser. Oh, he was always on drugs.
Who's saying that?
Critiques? People back then, people that have said, oh, Van Gogh, he was kind of like this. I don't know if his parents disowned him, but he was on drugs and he was kind of an alcoholic and he never really held down a job. But then when he died, it's like, oh my God, this is the greatest artist of all time. Van Gogh is so great, but it's like.
But look at the artists of today. What was it, a few years ago? Some fucking moron tapes a banana to the wall. And then the NFT bullshit. The whole Jake Paul crap. Artists of today, come on, give me a break, man. I can respect art on every format of art. I can respect it, but it has to be art. It can't be just bullshit, right?
Van Gogh splattered his own blood on a canvas, I know and that to me is like, wow, this is a guy who's sad and tormented, and he's, some people might go ew, but it's like, no, this guy is, he's crying out. He's saying, hey, I find that a really beautiful thing for someone to say, look what I did. I'm literally putting myself on this canvas because I'm upset and depressed. Or Kurt Cobain, Kurt Cobain, that's a whole thing. All
you got to talk to is one person.
Yeah.
Well, go even further. Dave Chappelle, when he was talking about Anthony Bourdain and his friend who had a job at a Foot Locker.
I remember that.
Remember that?
Yeah.
And there's certain people they took their life, and you start to question Chester.
Yeah, and Chris Cornell.
I understand that they may have demons, but Kobe, helicopter crash. Recently, Siemens executive and the whole family, helicopter crash. it's very easy all of a sudden to kind of eliminate a person by creating a scenario that involves more than just the one person. So I don't believe that certain individuals just killed themselves. I really don't. Kurt's one of them. You know what I mean? Cornell's another one. Bourdain's another one. Chester's another one. Who else is in that whole monkey business? Aaliyah, the plane crash there. She was how old when she was fucking dating R. Kelly, who's in prison right now?
That's
you know what I mean?
I believe, and it's if like, and we can use Christ as an example. If you talk too much and say too much stuff that's too much out there, they'll take you out.
If history's ever taught us anything about human, doesn't matter what time period or what country or what background, what religion, whatever, is that any human being can be removed.
Yeah.
There isn't a single human being that can't be removed. What I would love to see is all the globalists to be taken out one by one. That's what I would love to start seeing.
Hey, if they're bad, my girlfriend always gets mad at me. If they're bad people and they're doing horrible things, get rid of them, because it's like you squander the gift that is life. And it's like, if you're a piece of shit, you don't deserve, like...
Listen, you can make money. I don't got a problem with anybody being profitable, making money. I don't have a problem with that. If you are hurting people to make money, I have a problem with it.
If you're hurting people physically and hurting their livelihood, it's
then I have a problem with it.
Then you're a monster. Then you're a monster.
100%.
Like maybe at one point there was a politician who was a really nice guy, like in comic books, the villain story, right? Maybe at one point so-and-so was a nice guy, and then some stuff happened and they got in his ear and they corrupted him. I mean, some people I believe there's people who can't be corrupted, but most...
Really?
I mean...
That are in positions of power?
I mean, like, they're buying people. They're telling them, hey, you're going to get this much, but you got to follow our lead, kind of thing. And then people sell this. You essentially sell your soul.
What I see is a huge division line, and it all started with COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Like the amount of mass wealth that was transferred during those years, because it was all prepared and they knew it and they planned it, and they just basically, it was almost like, having a race against Usain Bolt and having him, give him like 2 minutes worth of a head start. They just separated from the common people so fucking far ahead. It would have taken them maybe 30 years to get that far ahead. And it was done over a 2-year period. And
it's like, the thing that always pisses me off is like there's this horrible virus coming. Oh, but we're not going to close the borders. Oh yeah, like, what the fuck? It's like that. Do you want people to, like, this whole vaccine thing and this whole propaganda? It's like, if you know this bad thing is coming, prepare for it.
But everybody's forgotten it lately, eh? Like, I remember when I was buying tile from my tile supplier, and I was talking to her, and you're talking on the phone. It was just all emails at the time. And then she was like speaking to me about how she's soap and water washing all of her vegetables, the outside of her containers when she went grocery shopping. And I was like, you're out to fucking lunch, man. If it was really that dangerous, really that fucking dangerous, we would all be in bubbles right now. And it wasn't that fucking dangerous. I never got sick. I never got fucking anything. I've never had a flu shot in my entire life. I don't believe in any of this crap, right? So I was just like, I was angry about this shit. Good luck on trying to do it again in my lifetime. They will try to do it again, but not in our lifetime. That's the problem. It will pull it off again in another lifetime. And it'll be far fucking worse, because there'll be far too many weak people then that will just, more people will accept it. That's all it is. And that's what's really sad. And then that wealth will increase even fucking greater, right? I bet you the amount of trillionaires that are out there right now is insane. You just don't know about it. The wealth is insane. In my lifetime, I remember when it was big news that Apple was going to be the first trillionaire company. They have now what are they worth now? 3.4? Almost, I think they're almost at $4 trillion. That's what they have as cash reserve. Apple. $4 trillion fucking dollars.
Who needs that much money? Who like?
It's not you don't need that money. It's like, who needs that much power?
Yeah.
And then they've got devices that listen to every fucking body. Zuckerberg was on Rogan's show, admitted He admitted what he was doing. And then Rogan asked him, so now you want us to believe you? Like anything you say now, we're going to believe you? Dude, Zuckerberg is completely in bed with the government. The power that he wields, man, he's got more than half the population on this planet. He's got access to them.
When I heard about that whole metaverse thing, that freaked me out because it's like, are we in a simulation? It's like, what? Like
you're gonna get like currently we've got an election going on, and you got Carney talking about how he's gonna fucking build modular and he's gonna solve the whole housing problem with modular, right? It's amazing for him to say that with a straight face and then not say we're going to decimate the construction industry because we're going to eliminate half the workforce because we're going to go modular. We're going to buy these fucking modules in China. We're going to ship them over from China. I'm already seeing it.
There's those little trailer houses, right?
So they're going to park them and plant them in Canada, and you're going to decimate the fucking workforce. Why doesn't he say the back part of what's going to happen as a result of that? Because he can't. Because he's in bed with the union executives. And then you guys want to keep on telling the workers, no, you're safe. Even Chris Campbell on that show, he said it. I asked him, I go, dude, are you going to like lose the workforce once robots and AI come in? And he goes, nope, not in our lifetime. I was like, I think you're wrong. I just said you're wrong. I said it's going to happen within the next 10 years. You're going to start to see a decline in workforce. At the same time, the government's going to keep on pushing DEI to get more people into the workforce. And those are the fuckers that we don't want in the workforce because they're lazy and stupid and don't care about construction. I want the money to be given to the people who actually are passionate and care about construction.
Yeah, because it's at the end of the day, it's an art. It's also an art form too.
It's a career. It's a skill set. If you can't achieve it, then guess what? It's like you trying out for hockey or any professional program. Maybe you just are not good enough to be there. There's a reason why there's GOATs in athletic, situations. Not, I wouldn't say today and these days because they're all fucking bought and paid for.
And athletes get paid way too much. These
deals that are coming out, I would never fucking heard it. It was just insane. Like I remember Bo Jackson and his deals, and they were a fraction of what the deals are going on today. But every parent wants their kid to be a GOAT, wants to be a superstar in whatever sport it is. Just like construction, maybe you're not good enough to be the next best, Ronaldo, the next best Gretzky, the next best Jordan. Maybe your kid is not talented enough for that. Maybe your kid is talented enough to be a construction worker, highly skilled carpenter, plumber, whatever it is. Maybe that's what your kid is destined to be. Focus on that.
But I also believe that you're limited by your mind. If you really, really want something, if you really want to do something, you'll do it.
It's ironic though, like Rich, I love that you said you're limited by your mind, but the amount of fucking blue hair idiots that are out there, they're just using their fucking mind to conjure up bullshit. You started saying that kid wants a litter box. That's his mind telling him that he's a fucking cat. You know what? If you're a cat, I'm going to throw you in the jungle there. Hang out with the cats and see how long you survive.
Yeah, you can't. Okay, look, we there's a lot of stuff in this world that we're catering to that we shouldn't. And it's like, like.
But that's applicable to construction too.
Children and people are very impressionable.
100% they are.
And it's like, you got to do your job as the adult and say, hey kid, like that, maybe that's not such a good idea. Like, we can't let everything slide. We can't let all this, because then kids grow up and they're fucked up and they think that's how life works. And when someone comes along and tells them, hey, that's not how it is, they get all...
Oh yeah, they have a fit.
It's like...
Yeah, because nobody's ever fucking laid the hand on them, man. I'd love to be the first politician that starts smacking stupid people on the fucking team. You fucked up. I'm going to smack you.
They should, I think...
That would be great. Wouldn't that be great in a press conference?
Pow.
Just like, hang on a sec. Give me a second. And they go back. You know how the people are always in the back there? They're all supporting them. Just kissing their fucking ass. I would just stop and I just smack them. Shut the fuck up. You're being stupid.
Customato used to... I think he used to fuck with Mike Tyson. He used to, because he raised him, right? He'd be like, I watched the documentary. I know Customato did some weird stuff with Tyson, like.
But it made him one of the best fucking fighters ever, right?
Tyson is like, we're talking about a guy who in his 60s is still one of the most dangerous people on earth.
Oh, that whole Jake Paul fucking fight. Like, the only thing I respected about that fight was that Tyson needed the money. He was taken advantage of, and he lost a lot of money because people took advantage of him, and he needed the money, so he needed to fucking take the fall. And I get it. Yeah, it was just sad to see him do that. It's
sad. It was like the fall.
He should have did his own backdoor deal with somebody else, with a Saudi prince or something like that.
Yeah, and
I'll fucking pulverize him, but you got to give me $100 million or something like that.
They want Jake Paul they wanted Jake Paul to save face, but Mike Tyson didn't save face because you have to remember, like if you beat up an old man, it goes two ways.
I don't think Mike Tyson's an old man though.
But I know
by society's definition, I get it.
If I beat up an old guy and
I wouldn't want to fucking be anywhere near Mike Tyson in a ring.
Yeah, he would kill me.
Exactly.
We're talking about a guy who's dangerous.
Yeah.
He's unhinged. Now he's like a Buddhist and he's calm. But it's like
he has the power to fucking cause some harm. Still to this day. Attention homeowners and businesses. Are you looking for top-notch electrical contracting services you can trust? Consider the expert tradesperson behind Effect Electric Ltd. They take pride in delivering quality, service, and professional installation on time and on budget. From Kohler generators to main service upgrades or network data installation, they do it all. With years of experience and a commitment to excellence, Carlo and his team at Effect Electric Ltd. are your go-to professionals for all your electrical and generator needs. Effect Electric Ltd. is an authorized Kohler home energy generator dealer. Kohler has air-cooled 26 RCA units, the quietest, the most powerful, and exceptionally durable generator with 109 amps max power on liquid propane. Custom color options, camouflage options, and every generator Kohler makes is built to last and is equipped with a commercial-grade engine. Call Effect Electric Ltd. today at 416-508-7725 or visit them at effectelectricltd.kohlergeneratordealer.com. Let's build something great together. This message is proudly supported by the Construction Life.
But like I was just saying, if you beat up an old man, it's like if you get beat up by an old man, it's like, haha, you got beat up by an old man. But if you beat up an old man, it's like, oh, you're a piece of shit. You beat up an old man.
I'd go further. If the old man beat up a social media influencer, that influencer would lose any credibility on social media. But I don't follow Jake Paul. I don't give a fuck about him or his prime or any of that bullshit. They're actors. That's what they are, right? They're making money off of fucking performances. That's what they are. They're today's gladiator. That's all it is. It's just a performance, right? Is it true? Fuck no. It's all made up shit. I don't follow any of that crap. I don't follow the Kardashians. I don't follow any of that shit, right? I don't give a fuck about it because they're just creating a product that is being consumed by the masses. Would they turn on them? I don't know. But they, in today's, like you said, people are fickle. They turn on people really quickly and then they just go right back to listening to them.
Yeah. It's like now with Carney, oh, Trudeau's going to run again. It's like, wait a minute, didn't you step down and now you want to come back? It's like, come on, man. It's like
all I want to see Trudeau run for is in the prison yard. That's all I want to see him run for.
He's got to, you know what?
But he'll just go disappear. He's not going to stay in Canada. And his kids are talentless. I don't give a shit what he thinks he is. He's talentless.
That guy there was like a rapper sending him death threats.
Was he?
Yeah.
What's his son's name? Xavier?
Yeah. Xavier.
Is it spelled like Xavier?
Yeah. Xaiv.
A fucking moron. Complete fucking moron.
But it's it's
talk about entitled generation there, eh? His dad is entitled and now he's created an offspring that's even worse.
People like I think I was saying earlier, people should answer for their crimes. If you did something bad, you should be right. God forbid I go out and do something, I hurt somebody, I'm going to jail. And it's like, and I'm going to kind of sit there and be like, yeah, I deserve to be here. But like, I don't think there's anyone more deserving of prison time in the world than Trudeau. I think
agree.
Trudeau,
he's still accountable. Whoever gets into power next, he's still accountable for the actions that have been created. Like they prorogue for a reason. So the green slush still hasn't been answered. The Chinese interference hasn't been answered yet. S&C still hasn't been concluded. So these are all capital crimes. So there should be a trial. He should be held accountable. and a jury of his peers should be looking at it.
He probably rigged the election too. He probably rigged the election.
That's why everyone's talking. But let's see what happens. I mean, we're seeing a huge amount of fucking rallies. I honestly feel that if Carney does steal, Carney and China, I don't give a shit what he can deny all he wants. But if Carney and China steals the election, I think Canadians will have enough and they will revolt. I honestly think they will.
It's gonna get.
Because we're going to accept the next 5 years?
People lose. If you push somebody far enough,
that's what I'm saying.
People will go, and people are already starting to go crazy and do crazy stuff, right?
You got a small percentage of the population that's saying, fuck it, I'm out of here, I'm leaving. And then they go move. Most likely they're going to States, or maybe they're going to Europe or some shit like that. But the ones that do want to stay here, that came here, built here, want to still earn an honest living and provide for their kids here, they're going to revolt, man. You're gonna get protests, and they'll never be fucking presented on the media, on the paid media. It'll be crickets on the media, but you'll see it on social media. But Carney's first act will be to shut down our social media, so we won't even be able to share what's fucking going on.
There was already that thing too.
Yeah, I know.
On Facebook, they weren't the Facebook news.
The news, certain things are coming in. Yeah, I know.
And even like. I don't want to get too much into immigration because then I'm going to look like an asshole. But it's like
there's too much here.
There's too much. But it's like, even whether it's Europe, whether it's here, people want to come. Immigrants want to come here and whatever. But it's like, what about the country that birthed you? You have a duty. Like, my parents are born Canadian. I feel like, as someone who's lived here for 35 years, I got a duty to this country. I got to keep it going, because this country, regardless of how bad things are, has given me, my existence. This is where I was born. This is my native land. Yeah. Why do so many people want to, why do people want to run away from a country to go somewhere else, and then kind of bring the bullshit from their country?
Why do you want to disrespect this country?
Yeah, if you're a Muslim and you like those laws, stay in a Muslim country. If you're Indian and you like to be, if that, if you, perfect example, those people in the States that wave those real patriotic types in the States, they're like, no, I'm an American, I'm staying here. And it's like even people in Portugal, the ones that didn't immigrate here are the ones that are there. They're like, no, this is my...
They're protesting. Portugal is a mess right now. Well, because it's attached to Europe. And the shit that I see, it's disgusting to see a white British man who's running the UK talk about accepting what's going on here, where you got white girls being raped by immigrants and telling his people to accept this. I go, you're a white fucking guy, and you're actually giving a 2-tier system for now white people and immigrants. A white person gets a harsher crime than the immigrant does. So why are you not being attacked for crimes? Because you're creating crimes. It's fucked up, man.
There's a lot of, it's hypocrisy. It's
I know, but that's coming. Anybody who tells me that it's not coming to Canada, you're out the fucking lunch, man. You vote Carney in here for the next 5 years, Canada is going to look exactly like the UK. I guarantee fucking to you.
You'll wake up in the morning and they'll be sitting in your living room.
That's what's going to happen, and you'll be shocked. And then what are you going to do? You're going to revolt. Canadians are going to revolt. People have had enough. It's simple as that. I'm hoping that it goes one way. And I hope that we start turning shit around, and we've got a heavy naturally resource country that we're not selling these true dick and jerk off saying never fucking sold any of our resources. We had so many opportunities to sell our resources to make a lot of money for this country. And they did it on purpose because it doesn't benefit their portfolios. That's not a public servant, man.
Yeah, of course. Exactly. Sir,
I know.
Sir, public servant. It's for everybody should be making money and do, and then but
that was the principle.
But that's utopia. But then that's like a utopian thing.
I know, but that's the same thing for unions. In the beginning, it was all like I'm going to help you out. You're going to get a fair wage. You're going to be able to buy this and provide for your kids and Buy a second car for your wife so she can go do groceries and go take care of things during the day while you're working. Buy a cottage so then we can get little weekend none of that shit is a reality now.
Yeah.
But you know who's getting all that shit? The brass, the executives, the politicians. They're all greasing each other's fucking backs, man.
And you were saying like now a couple, both people have to work. Before, in the old days, I've heard of like, oh yeah, my wife doesn't work because I'm the breadwinner, and you'll see it in Europeans where like, oh yeah, my wife doesn't work because she's
the math is there. It's better to stay home. If you got kids, it's better to stay home, and plus, you'll know what your kid is gonna fucking raise, like, because you're raising them.
And maybe people who make a lot of money. And there's a lot of people who make a lot of money and they live beyond their means. If you live beneath your means, then maybe your wife can stay home and take care of your kids.
It keeps on. I'm still trying to figure out this enigma of this 20-something group of people that are living this ultra high-end life in Toronto core. Like, I know what the rates are for these condos. I know that they don't fucking own them. There's no way. So they're renting them. They don't have a car. Thank God, whatever. They can't afford a car, but they're probably Ubering everywhere, right? Or they're taking a cab, but they're getting their fucking lattes and they're getting their morning snacks and they're doing yoga or Pilates or they have the membership. Yeah, exactly. And they're eating out all the time. They're not learning how to fucking cook. So their means are like, it's insane. All they're doing, what are they doing? Just creating a wealth of debt? Is that what they're doing? And at some point in their lives in their 30s, they're going to be like, I owe X amount of money. What are they going to do? Declare bankruptcy? You're going to get a government that's going to say you can't do that anymore, the same way that you can't do it with student debt. The reason that you can't do it with student debt is because they gave free credit cards to everybody that doesn't have a job at universities and colleges. You gave crack to somebody who smokes crack and then told them, stop smoking crack.
Anyways, the credit card companies, they're covered, right? They are.
It's a loss for them and they don't care.
It's a loss, but they already like... because those third-party companies buy the debt, right?
I know. So people need to understand that if they buy the debt, you don't own that debt. Even if you pay that debt off, it still affects your fucking credit for the 7 years. So regardless if you pay it, it doesn't fucking matter. And first of all, they bought it on pennies on the dollar. So the banks and the credit card companies wrote it off. It was a loss for their financials. Now they've sold it to a third-party company for pennies. And now they're going to try to get it. But they're going to keep on trying to tell you that it's going to clean up your credit rating. It's not. There's a cycle. You're better off not paying it. Simple as that. I learned that from Mario of the North, man. Like, I follow him and I listen to his jargon and shit like that. And he makes a lot of sense, man. Anything else you want to share before we do the 12 questions? You still have any records, or did you guys press it, or you guys CD?
No, we weren't on a list.
Independently?
We had it on MySpace, but
MySpace.
I know. I think we did like a couple of demos and sold them at shows. We never got that far. It was, for us, it was.
You ever make a music video?
No music videos. We were just like a bar band.
I worked on so many of them. I love doing music videos because it was always about creativity. And most artists, like I think almost every artist I ever spoke to, it doesn't matter what position in the band, they're fucking such amazing people. They're just down to earth. They just want to fucking create something original. You could see it light up in their eyes. And that's what I was always focused on trying to capture that.
I've met so many musicians and I didn't want to leave their side. I just wanted to be beside them.
They're unique individuals.
And it's
man.
like,
they're amazing people.
This guy's so cool. Like I want to stay. I'm trying to think of who I met that I was like, my mind was blown. Can't think of. I met Dallas Green.
Who's
City in Color and Alexis on Fire.
Right. Yeah, oh shit.
And
I have their album. Yeah.
Oh my god. And like I have one of them. He's a friend of mine. Cancer Bats.
Yeah.
Another great Toronto metal band.
Where are they now? Like it was kind of funny. I just saw a post because we had Go Nano on the show a couple of months ago. And they're sponsoring Our Lady Peace out west. They're on a tour. So they're good friends with Rain Maida. And so all of a sudden I saw the post and I was like, yeah. And then he actually asked me, he goes, man, if you want to come to Vancouver, we'll get you out here and go to the concert, right? And I was like, man, dude, I'm just swamped right now. But they were sponsoring them. So they're still playing.
Yeah.
Concerts
and they've been around since and they're from like the Weston Road area.
Yeah.
They're from around there.
Is he still? He married
Chantel Kraviazik.
That's it. Yeah. Are they still together?
They're still together.
They're still together.
My sister met him when she was really young, and she said he was an asshole. But I don't know. You catch somebody on a bad day.
I worked on. Remember Sloan? Not Sloan.
I've met the Sloan guys too.
No, it was the other guy. What was his name? Long hair. Talking about music, long hair. Starts with an S. They were a Canadian band, Toronto guys. Why am I thinking Sloan?
Sloan is from Toronto.
It could have been Sloan. I worked on their music video where we dragged the bus. The whole music video was on this bus. And then the idea in the video is something happens where the driver loses his driving it, and all of a sudden it careens, and then it's supposed to turn and falls on its side, and then it gets dragged along. It slides along the roadway.
And it's a Canadian band?
It's a Canadian band. It was a music video. We're there for fucking 2 nights, and it was nice to be standing there as a technician and all of a sudden watching the director realize how physics don't work in creativity sometimes, right? So when they crashed the bus, so to speak, it didn't slide. So you obviously needed enough momentum for this bus to be sliding on its side. So we had to come back the next day and put tow trucks, big tow trucks with aircraft cable, and drag the fucking bus along the street. We're on Queen Street. This is way back in the middle of the night.
Because you'd have to go really fast for the car to slide.
And they thought it would just naturally happen on its own, and I'm like, it's not gonna fucking happen.
There should have been like a physics expert on site to be like, no, that's not how.
Today's a different story. It would have been easy to do it today, but this is back in. This would have been the late '90s that I worked on it.
But you know what? That's like a learning experience too. Like,
I had a blast. I love doing those shows, man.
Like those old music videos. I'm sure they had wind machines blowing the guy's hair. Like, yeah, that's like, I'm sure no one's ever shown up to a music video filming and been like, oh yeah, just play. It's like, wait, why isn't his hair moving? It's like someone had the bright idea to buy
You always bring in the rain towers. You always bring in the fans. There's always key things that you have to bring in, right? And it was just a routine, which is fun. But the crews were always great. Everything. It was long fucking hours. It was hard fucking nights. But and then you see the finished product, and you're like, yeah. Attention subcontractors and skilled trades. Are you looking for your next big opportunity? 2x2 Construction is expanding and is on the hunt to grow our top-tier network of professionals. Whether you're a carpenter, plumber, or roofer, etc., if you can deliver top-quality craftsmanship, offer competitive pricing, and your communication is where we shine, we want to hear from you. At 2x2 Construction, we value strong partnerships. From multiplexes to garden suites, we're all about building better together, and we want you to be a part of it. Reach out today at info@2x2construction.ca or connect with us on Instagram at 2x2construction. Join the 2x2 Construction team where great work meets great people. This message is proudly supported by the Construction Life. Okay, great.
I always loved, and you see this with like heavier bands. I've seen this music video like 50 times. It's a band and whatever, they're probably strapped for cash. They literally film their music video in their jam space or in an attic. It's like, and it's such a raw thing. Like, oh yeah, they're just jamming in a room and maybe there's some weird, like, I think Alice in Chains had a lot of videos like that where it was like,
I miss those videos, man. I miss those days. Like now I see last video I probably saw was that fucking girl. She's like fucking pressing her breasts up against a window glass or something like that. Then they blur out the breasts and I'm like, this is a video? This is fucking stupid. Like, this is not a story. This is garbage, man. And the song sucked. And I'm like, yeah, I want some creativity. That's what I want, man.
Yeah,
I know. It's a business now. But one of the last ones I ever did was for Doc Walker, country band from out west. I fucking hated it. I was directing it.
New Country.
I hated it because the amount of handlers on this fucking video was insane. There was a handler for every member of the fucking band.
What's a handler?
Someone who makes sure that star is perfect.
Oh, does he get them like food and stuff?
No, they make sure that their presence is fucking. Oh. No, we need him to move a little bit further because he has to be. Like everybody had a fucking handler, and I'm like, what the fuck is this shit, man? I'm done with this crap. And then you had the music producers handlers coming in, and everybody had their sense in, and then I'm looking at the crew going, can we fucking just do a video here? I want to do a video.
Yeah.
And I got so sick of it. I'm like, get the fuck out of here, right? That was the last one I worked on. Ready for this?
Sure.
A person you would trade places with for a day.
Trade places with? Let me think about this one. Can it be a time period thing?
Of course, could be anything.
I would have loved to be like Robert Plant in the 70s or something, or like just really putting on a show. Like like somebody, maybe, you know what, I'm gonna say like Tony Iommi from Black Sabbath.
Did you watch has a documentary come out, the Led Zeppelin one?
Yeah.
Did you watch it?
I watched the first part.
Wasn't that good?
They don't
look
really,
like it was gonna be good.
They don't really. It's gonna have different parts. They just kind of like, oh yeah, the band met and this happened, and there's no
I say I want the truth, man. I want the real stories.
The dirt,
Yeah.
The dirt was people like, apparently they say a lot of that stuff was made up. No, like the dirt was you literally see Slash like with a heroin needle. Like it's.
I know. I guess we're waiting for Rolling Stones to fucking die before they make their biopic, right?
Yeah.
They're doing the Beatles one right now.
Already?
They're doing 2 Beatle movies coming out. Sam Mendes is doing one of them.
They did. I love Sam Mendes. He did the Bond movies. I like that Jimi Hendrix movie that Andre 3000 did.
That was a good one.
That was it. But they kind of made him look abused. I don't like the way they painted the picture of him. Like he was you never know, right? You don't know what these people were actually.
There's all fucking kinds of fuckery going on with the Michael Jackson one. There's delays going on there because there's a lawsuit behind the scenes, so they're delaying shit. And then there's also who the fuck? There's who was married? Richard Pryor's biopic is getting fuckery going on right now. His ex-wife, she's refusing to play ball.
Well, he did some fucked up shit.
I know, and she doesn't want that shit expressed. She wants the focus to be more on her and their marriage. And I'm like, nobody gives a fuck about you. They care about Richard Pryor. I want to know about Richard Pryor and Richard Pryor, he did a lot of shit, but it was funny shit.
Yeah.
But he also did a lot of shit because he was a star back then, right? A massive star, right? So it's just unfortunate.
It's the thing that, you know what really, and it's sad because the whole thing, he molested somebody.
Did he?
Richard Pryor molested somebody.
Who?
He molested somebody's kid, and they really keep that on the down low, and it's really sad because that kind of killed his career too.
When was this?
Like 70s.
I never heard this. Really? I gotta look it up.
But he also, you have to remember, the guy was on crack too. So, but he was, at least he was like in his. He'd be like, yeah, I smoke crack. He'd be like say stuff like that. But I know
kind of like Chappelle, where he compared the Cosby thing. He was my hero, but
yeah,
he was my hero, but I get it. But still, I understand.
Something like that will ruin but that ruins somebody's legacy that they got.
Listen, it's power. You just think that you're Shapiro. Was it Shapiro? Shapiro talked about Tyson. Speaking about Tyson,
Ben Shapiro.
I think it was Ben Shapiro was talking about the original legal defense for Tyson's. Remember his rape trial? The original legal defense was to say that he was surrounded by everybody that told him yes. He only knew of a world that was always yes. So when a woman came along and she said no, he didn't hear no. He was basically manufactured to only expect yes. And he said originally that was their defense and they were going to fight with that. And he felt that if they did that, they would have won. But then Tyson went to prison and it changed him. It helped him, right? But also he lost his daughter too, right? He's been through a lot of shit. I'm not justifying what he did and all this other shit. I'm just saying that it's just interesting how you look back on certain things and
people. Hey, no, who's to say? We all make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. Can you do you think you can rehabilitate say? I think being a child molester.
No, of course not.
You don't think you can rehabilitate those people?
I don't think so. I like the Russian way of how they handle it. Suicide by several gunshots and then manipulation of his penis. I don't think you can.
Like, look, we can get into the prison system, but it's.
No, we got to wrap it up. We got to wrap these questions. Guilty pleasure.
Guilty pleasure. Oh man, watching like 90 Day Fiance with my girlfriend.
Holy fuck. I watched 2 seconds of that. I can't watch that.
But it's so funny. I find it so funny what happens on the show. Like
I can't watch it.
It's so bad that it's good.
What's your least favorite tool?
Like construction tool?
Any kind of tool.
My least favorite tool.
Could be metaphorically. People have said Trudeau. That's what I'm saying. So it could be any kind of tool. Doesn't have to be construction.
Auto-tune.
Yeah,
Auto-tune, because like if you can't sing,
you can't sing. Get the fuck out.
Yeah, it's like auto-tune and voice enhancement.
Biggest risk you ever took?
Being in a band.
Best compliment you ever got?
The best compliment I ever got was from somebody that told people. I've had people tell me that I own a room when I walk in.
Nice. Favorite beverage?
Beer, Budweiser.
What never fails to make you laugh?
Like dick jokes, like really stupid, immature. Like
all the dick drawings inside the porta potty. They're fucking talented. I love those guys. That should be an art gallery. Someone should start an art gallery of just fucking job site toilet dick pictures.
The best thing I ever saw written in and I would, when I was I would see this porta potty everywhere. It said Portuguese space shuttle. And I was like, whoever wrote this is the greatest thing ever written.
Portuguese space shuttle. Worst piece of advice you ever got? I like that one.
Fuck, worst piece of advice I ever got. Let me think about this one.
Sure.
I need a minute. People telling me I should get married young.
Who's telling you that? Old people or young people?
I remember being like my grandmother saying like, oh, I was like 20 years old. You're not married. It's like, no, didn't, you know.
I get that all the time whenever I go back to Portugal. And then I'm sure that I'll go back soon and I'll be asked again, right?
Have you been married before?
No.
Do you have children?
No. No. But I've been going back there for 20 plus years or something.
You'd be a cool dad though. I think.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But I just, I don't want to see the inside of a divorce court, right?
Oh yeah. That's another thing.
I don't want to deal with child custody. I don't want to deal with any of that shit.
You had that guy that was talking about divorce.
Daniel Santos,
man, I don't ever want to be a divorce. I'd rather be a widow than divorced. I think because at least they didn't leave you.
Well, how did they become a widow?
Well, I mean, but yeah, I never want to be a divorce guy.
I just like it. It's not in my cards. I'm not interested. And it was interesting. I was just talking to some of the girls here yesterday, and she's in a relationship for 7 years, and she's like, "Yeah, but I don't have a ring on." Like, who do give? Well, we're talking about getting married. Then get fucking married if you want to get. Well, they don't both want to get married. I go, you guys are a recipe for fucking divorce.
Some people are. I'm sure there's people out there who are happily unmarried.
I'm sure there's people that are happily married and still fucking cheating on each other, still searching on Tinder for whatever reason. I don't judge them because it's not me. I don't give a fuck about them, right? But not me. Same thing with religion. I respect everybody's religion. Just don't try to convince me of yours. Don't sell me your shit.
Don't push stuff on people. That's that, you know.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt one day? You tried musician, construction worker, foreman.
I think I would have loved to be a boxer. Because I did martial arts growing up.
Yeah.
And I love the Rocky movies. I love the Creed movies. I feel like two guys boxing is the most visceral thing ever. It's it's a risk factor where like, yeah, you can get a concussion or concussion syndrome. But I like the idea of like two guys that just, who's tougher? Let's see who's tougher. It's like a gladiator, you know? It's like a gladiator thing.
Favorite curse word?
Cock.
Favorite vehicle? Any mode of transportation?
The old Ford Broncos.
The old school ones?
I love seeing the old Ford Broncos.
Then they modernize it and it looks like fucking shit.
I don't mind the modernized.
I don't like it at all.
I like the 90s Ford Broncos.
I don't like the modernized of the Beetle. I don't like the modernized of the Camaro. I don't like the modernized of the Mustang. I don't like any of that shit.
Even pickups. I like the old square pickups. I would love an old Bronco or an old pickup. Yeah.
Last question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at those pearly gates?
The beer is cold.
That would be good to say.
We got cold beer.
Thank you very much, Rich. I really appreciate taking the time, man, to get on this show. And again, if anybody's offended by anything that was said, I don't give a fuck. It's as simple as that.
The art is meant to shock. You know, people can get offended and can still be friends. You can have two people who disagree and still be friends. That's like the best thing.
That's construction. That's what I know construction is. You can tell someone to go fuck themselves, and then still get along and have a beer with them after work.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
that's construction.
And you can be like, hey, you can say, hey, buddy, you really fucked that up, but you know what?
You did a good job the rest of the day.
Yeah, exactly. You really
for that one little part. Work on it for tomorrow. Rich, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's it. We're out of here.